Brandon at Wilson Strength coming at you with another science-based, volume-focused muscle growth program for 2025. The last program we went over on the last video was a push-pull leg program, and it was actually my personal program that I'm going to be running through 2025. This program's an upper-lower split. It's a great program for women and a great program for beginners. I actually recommend this program to women and beginners. Even if you can only get to the gym twice a week, it's way better than going to the gym 0 times a week, and you can actually work this program only going twice a week. Of course, if you go to 4 to 6 times a week, that's great as well. But this is a program I trained my girlfriend with. She personally is going through this program right now. If you're interested, stay tuned for the rest of the video so that way you can see the program. Coming up, you'll get all the ins and outs of it. If you like this kind of content, please like the video. Please subscribe. I'm going to be putting out more videos, more programs, all sorts of content. Please drop a comment below if you have any questions or you want me to make any type of video or any type of program. All right, everyone. So getting into the program, you should see it up to the side here. It's our upper-lower split. So this split is great for people who get to the gym 2 to 6 times a week. Now, I know that's a big range. A lot of people start off their fitness journey and they say, I'm going to start going to the gym 5 times a week, and I'm going to do it every week for the rest of the year. Unfortunately, that's a very high goal to attain, especially if you were going to the gym previously 0 times a week for the last year or even longer than that. It's going to be really hard to get yourself back into a habit, get yourself back into the gym often. So what I really recommend for beginners, if you're just getting back into it, obviously, if you're an advanced lifter, you already know what I'm talking about. You can, do your 4 to 6 times a week. However, you prefer your frequency, this upper lower split will work for you. But if you are a beginner and you just started your journey, this upper lower split is great for you. The reason why is because I want you to start it only going to the gym twice a week. Now, you might say that's a pretty low goal, but it's a habit. This weightlifting is all habits that you need to be able to set. And if you can start the habit by going to the gym just twice a week, it seems like an easy goal. If you can't make that, then you're probably really not interested in your fitness journey that much. And you probably need to get motivated in a different way. But if you can get to the gym at least twice a week and get that going for weeks and weeks and weeks and months and months and months and turn that into a year, then after a year, your 2026 goal you can make to go to the gym 3 times a week or 4 times a week and increase it from there. And every time you get your goals, you meet your goals instead of failing. That makes you want to achieve another goal. It's very addictive. So, you go to a year, you do this program that I'm showing you here for free. In 2025, you go to the gym 50 weeks out of the year or 40 weeks out of the year, twice a week. You could say, hey, that's way better than the year before because I wasn't going to the gym. And then in 2026, you already got that habit ingrained. You add another day, you add another 2 days of going to the gym, more frequency, to where in 2026, now your goals are to do the upper lower split, but go 4 days a week. And then after the end of 2026, if you want to extend it from there, that would be fantastic. But in just 1 or 2 years, you're going to be in a much better place than you were before. And you're going to be in a much better place than if you set your goals way too high and you're not able to achieve them. So this is the great part about the upper lower split, why I say it's great for women and beginners, because you can do it anywhere from 2 to 6 times a week. And even advanced lifters can do it 6 times a week. There's a lot of men that run upper lower splits, professional bodybuilders. So it's a great split. It's a great program, and it's great for almost everybody. So diving into the program, guys, we're going to start with the upper day. Similar to the last video, the push-pull legs, except you're going to do all your upper body workouts on the same day. Obviously, since it's only a 2-day program with 1 day of rest, you're going to do your upper body on your upper day and your lower body on your lower day. So we're going to start, our first movement on there is going to be the bench press. If you're looking at it, we're going to do 4 sets of chest on the bench press. Obviously, you're going to be hitting your shoulders and side delts as well. So that's where the fractal sets come in. But unless you watched last video where I explained the fractal sets and the volume and everything, then don't worry about that now. I'll explain it a little bit later in the video. But for now, to start off with your upper days with an incline bench of 4 sets. The next workout after that is going to be lat pull downs. Lat pull downs like this. Most gyms have a machine where you can grab a bar and pull it downwards, or some kind of handles and pull them downwards. If you don't have that, you can always do pull-ups or assisted pull-ups with bands. So the lat pull down is going to be 4 sets of lat pull downs, and of course that's going to partially hit your rear delts and your biceps as well. But like I said, I'm going to go over that later. That's why you see the smaller numbers on the the program for the fractal set so you can count your volume correctly. After your lat pull down, you're going to go into dips. You can do body weight dips, or you can do machine dips. If you're really strong, you can add weight to the dips like I was talking about last video, but you can do 4 sets of dips after your lat pull downs. When you're done with your dips, you're going to move over to a seated row. Now you can do a T-bar row, you can do a machine row, you can do a bent over row, however you prefer to do your rowing movements. I like a chest supported or a T-bar row. A lot of guys like doing bent over rows, but they usually cause a lot of fatigue. But if you like doing them, go for them. You're going to do 4 sets of seated rows or bent over rows. After your rows, you're going to move on to training your side delts. So you're going to do a side delt raise for 4 sets. After you're done with your side delts, you're going to move on to your triceps, and you're going to do a tricep press down for 4 sets. And then after the tricep press down, you're going to do bicep curls. That'll be the last movement for the upper day specifically. So as you can see, with the incline bench, we're hitting our pecs, pecs, shoulders, and triceps. Lat pull downs, we're hitting our back, traps, lats, deltoids, rhomboids, all that kind of stuff. Dips, again, chest, shoulder, triceps, rows, back again. Delt raises, we're hitting our shoulders. Tricep press downs are for triceps, and bicep curls are for your biceps. So as you can see, we're hitting the full upper body musculature. We're not hitting any part of our lower body. Moving straight into our lower day, we're going to start with a squat or deadlift. This is similar to the last program where I told you it's a squat or deadlift, not squat and deadlift. I don't want you doing squats and deadlifts every single lower body day, especially if you're doing it more than twice a week. You're going to run into a ton of fatigue. If you're only doing it twice a week, and you're a beginner, you can definitely do squats and deadlifts if you really want to. But I recommend that you do a squat or deadlift for your first workout, and you're going to do 4 sets of that squat or deadlift. After that, you're going to move into quad extension or hamstring curl. Again, just like the last video, like I said, if you do squat first, it may be easier to do your hamstrings after your squat because your quads are going to be more fatigued. Where it might make it difficult to move directly from squat to quad extension. So if you do squat first, maybe start with your hamstring curl next, and then do quad extensions. Or vice versa, if you do deadlift first, start with the quad extension and then move into hamstring curl, because deadlifts are a little bit more hamstring focused, or a lot of bit more hamstring focused. So after you do your squat and deadlift, quad and hamstring curls, quad extension and hamstring curls, then you're going to move into a calf raise. And I think I forgot to mention, but the quad and hamstring curls are both 4 sets each. When you move into the calf raise, that's going to be another 4 sets. Remember on the last video, I was telling you guys, I want you guys to do to not do bent knee calf raises. And for most part, that's that little seated calf raise machine that's in almost every gym. And you can just kind of sit there and bounce up and down. That's really not good for growing your calves very much. It does target a portion of your calf, but it's the smaller part of the calf that's underneath the bigger parts of the calf. So it doesn't really train it very effectively. So what I recommend is doing a straight leg calf raise where you're either standing or there's a machine where your knees are not bent, your legs are straight, and you're doing the calf raise. That's way better for calf growth. Obviously, if you only have that seated calf raise or that knee bent calf raise, you can use that, but I would prefer you to put a bar on your back before using the bent knee one. Put a bar on your back, put some plates underneath your feet, and do calf raises that way. That's much better than using the seated bent knee calf raise. It's just not very good designed machine. And then after the calf raise, you're going to do your inner thigh and hip abductors. 4 sets each on the inner thigh and hip abductor to kind of grow those muscles that support your whole system for your lower body. Similar to the first program we were going over in the last video, this program actually has floating days as well. Even though it's just upper lower, it's 2 different days and a rest day. But the reason why we do floating workouts is to get in extra volume for lagging muscle groups, specifically groups that we can't get enough volume in or need more volume to train. I split them up into 2 different groups, a float day for women and a float day for men. Obviously, you can tailor this to exactly which muscle groups you're trying to bring up or whichever muscle groups you think need more volume. For men, it's typically delts, biceps, hamstrings, and calf raises. The reason why that is because those muscle groups usually require a higher training frequency and a higher training volume. All the other muscle groups were able to hit effectively with the other workouts, and you don't really need too much additional volume. Those muscle groups that I just listed for men: side delts, biceps, hamstrings, and calf raises. Those muscle groups also recover very quickly, so you're able to train them more often, and they benefit from training more often. Whereas your chest and your lower back can't be trained as frequently as your side delts, your biceps, and your hamstrings. So these benefit from quite a bit of extra volume. For women, the floating splits that we have, you're going to focus on your glutes, hip abductors, and inner thigh, and your abs as well. So basically, what you do for your float is obviously you're not going to do glute, hip abductor. Well, you will do glute on your lower day. I wanted to emphasize that for women specifically. On your lower day, you want to do glute every day. To be honest, you can do glutes every single day you work out except for your rest day. That's why I have it on the float. And I want to encourage you to do glutes, hip abductor, inner thigh on your upper day as well. So obviously, you're going to be training glutes, hip abductor, inner thigh on your lower day, but you should be training glutes, hip abductor, inner thigh on your upper day as well. Now, if you're not recovered from your lower day from the previous workout, or you don't want to impede your growth, impede your next workout on your lower day, then don't do your float right before or right after your lower day. But it's still very good idea to get extra volume in for your glutes, hip abductors, and inner thigh. And remember, you're going to be doing 4 sets of your glutes every single day for women. And then for the other floating workouts, you have your hip abductor and inner thigh. You can also do these every day if you want, 4 sets each. And then abs, I recommend doing abs every day, or at least, every time you go to the gym, abs training 4 times a week. So that's the women's float. For the men's float, it looks a little bit different. Obviously, there's quite a bit of things here on the men's float because the upper lower split leaves a little bit of volume on the table for men. So the things I have that are important in this split that's kind of missing is you're going to do for men's more side delt volume. So I have 4 days, 4 sets of volume for your side delts on the floating day. You're going to need to do 4 sets of rear delt flies on your floating day as well with this program, because you're not getting any direct rear delt isolation movements on your upper day. So I recommend doing a rear delt fly. It's not super important because the rear delts do get hit with other back exercises and they're a relatively small muscle, but you're still not going to want to leave that on the table if you're looking for maximum muscle gains. Also on a floating day, we're going to do chest flies because that's not on our upper day as well, just to get a bit more of chest development. Flies are great for that, for your pecs. So you're going to do 4 sets of chest flies on your non-upper day. Bicep curls are also on there. Do 2 sets of bicep curls on your non-upper day, on your float day. Overhead tricep, 4 sets of overhead tricep. Do that on your non-upper day. So on your lower day, you'll be doing all those. Your lower day, you'll be doing all your float upper days, which makes sense. And then you also need more volume for your hamstrings. So 2 sets of hamstrings you'll be doing on your upper day. Obviously, you're already doing hamstrings on the lower day, so don't add those to the lower day. Just add them to the upper day. Quad extension, same thing, 4 sets, add that to your upper day. Calf raises, 4 sets, add that to your upper day. And then abs, 4 sets, do that every day. You can train your abs every single day. That's pretty much the float. Obviously, 2 different types of float there. You can adjust it to how you want it to be. Whatever muscle groups you want to bring up the most, or you feel are not getting enough volume, you can include these on your floats. All right, so going over the volume, that's an important thing to remember. Obviously, we're all the way through the program now, but you should know about the volume. If you tuned into the last video on the push-pull leg program, I went over sets and fractal sets and how to count your volume. I'll go over it quickly here. So if you're looking at the program, I always like to point to the first thing that most people are pretty familiar with and is kind of easy to describe is the bench press. How you're going to count your volume. If you're looking at the bench press here, if you do 4 sets of volume on a bench press, you will get 4 direct sets for your chest because your pecs are being directly used for the pressing movement. and you're going to get fractal sets for your side delts and your triceps. And that's because your side delts and your triceps are indirectly involved in the bench press. So even though they're not firing as much as the chest is. So you don't want to count all the volume since they're being indirectly influenced. So if you do a bench press for 4 sets, you get 4 sets of chest volume, 2 sets of side delt, and 2 sets of tricep because you get half the volume, and that's what's called a fractal set for indirect muscle groups. Now, obviously, if you look at it, you only get fractal sets on compound movements or lifts that require more than one muscle group. You're not going to get fractal sets on isometric lifts. ISO means one, meaning you're only training one muscle group at a time. An easy way to think about that is a bicep curl or a tricep extension. Obviously, if you're doing a curl with your biceps, the only thing that's working is your bicep. Your forearms are working too, but the main muscle group is the bicep. So you won't get any fractal sets. I guess your fractal sets would be your forearms or whatever, but we're not counting volume for our forearms. So your biceps you would get your direct sets. So that's why you see all the numbers here on the program, and that way you can add up all your volume and you're not missing any volume, because you want to make sure you count fractal sets. Otherwise, you're going to be doing tons of additional sets because you're thinking you're not getting enough volume because you're not counting those fractal sets. And then you might be just completely overreaching because you think you're doing 30 sets a week for a certain muscle group, but you're not counting your fractal sets. So you're doing 40 sets a week. And that probably is way too much work. Like, I can't imagine doing 40 sets a week and being able to recover from it. Or being able to do it at a high level and high intensity the entire time. You're going to do a lot of junk volume. So that's kind of how the sets and the fractal sets work. Now, one other thing you want to keep in mind is, and I elucidated this in the first video, is training to failure. Everyone, talks about training to failure. Training to failure is very important. I train to failure on most of my sets. I focus on training to failure. It should be your goal, but you need to do some sets with reps in reserve if you're training 4 to 6 days a week. If you're only training twice a week, you can train to failure all the time if you want to. But if you're getting too much fatigue, you're getting some kind of strains and injuries and stuff like that, you need to kind of back off how intense you're training. Now, for most of you, I'm sure you need to push the intensity to the max because a lot of people don't train intense enough. But if you are training to failure and you're getting a ton of fatigue, and you want to kind of eliminate that fatigue or not get as much fatigue or be able to recover in time for your workouts, recover quicker, then you might want to take some of your sets not to failure. Take those sets 1 or 2 reps, maybe even 3 reps away from failure. It's called reps in reserve. So leave 1 or 2 reps in reserve on some of your sets, but you can train a majority or some of your sets to failure. Just don't train all of your sets to failure all the time. Unless you find that you can recover from it, then hey, good for you. You can recover, go for it. But once you get to that point where you're like, hey, I can't recover in time for my workouts, or you're starting to get strains on your joints and your ligaments and stuff that you shouldn't have, then you may have to tailor back the intensity as well as the volume. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Please please subscribe, please comment below. It helps out the channel a bunch. The program link is in the description below, so please check that out if you want to link to the description, or the link is in the description. The last video has that program linked in there as well. Please check out the last video. Please check out my other videos. There's more videos coming up. Please share with your friends and family. That makes a big deal to me, guys. Even if they just watch a few videos or subscribe or like a few videos, drop a comment. Really appreciate it. Again, this is Brandon at Wilson Strength. The last thing I wanted to hit you guys with is that I'm actually working on an app, developing that so that way you'll be able to log programs and I can do some coaching in the future. So if you're interested in a fitness app, obviously that's going to be a long time down the road, but please subscribe. We're in the development phases now.